Hey everybody, I've got my tubing, I've got my stapler, my uncoilers all set up. Today is the day that I'm going to be putting the tubing in for the Aune shop build for the radiant floor heat. I can't wait because this is really honestly my this is my favorite job to do as a plumbing heating contractor. Today it's real simple. We've got all the foam ready, everything's prepped. I've got my uncoiler set up, I've got all the materials on site, and we're going to get everything hooked up and tested so I can show you kind of one step at a time on how it's done. Okay, so I've got one loop of tubing already connected to the manifold and installed on the floor, but I'm going to keep going here. Overall, there are 8 loops of tubing. Now, some people will call these zones, but that's not technically correct. So these are actually just loops. There's a supply, the red, and then return, the blue, okay? So this is one loop of tubing. We've got the supply going out into the floor and then returning back from the floor. That's one continuous loop of tubing, just under 300 feet in length, okay? That 300 feet in length is something of importance. Now 300 feet, 250 feet, those two measurements divide very nicely into the construction dimensions that we use when we build a building. So they're just good fit there. And then also we're using 1/2-inch tubing. So if we go much over about 330 feet, I know this is getting a little technical and they're in the manuals from companies like Viga, the manufacturer, but you go over that 330 foot mark and now all of a sudden the circulator or the pump that we use to push the water through the tubing in the floor needs to get significantly larger. And larger pumps cost more money, they take more electricity, things like that. So we're trying to avoid that. We're trying to stay within a certain design parameter. In order to do that, we want to limit the amount of footage on our tubing. And we also would like or prefer for each one of these loops of tubing to be somewhat similar in length. However, we are able to balance the flow through each individual loop based off of its length, no matter how long or short each one of them is. But without getting really deep into the weeds on that, that's a discussion we can have later on in another video down the road. I just want to show you how I put the tubing in. Now, I said when we talked about the tools in the last video that I do this alone. Now, a lot of companies will send out a couple people to do this job, but I'll be honest with you, I don't think that that's necessary. This is a one-person job if you've got the right tools to make your job a little bit easier. And you can see just by example here, as I put the tubing in, how simple it is.